This program is brought to you by the partners of A Rood Awakening International. Help others find truth. Support A Rood Awakening International today.
Two issues have dominated American headlines in the last few years: immigration and the war in Ukraine. But did you know that one has been funding the other? And perhaps the bigger question is why? Kamal Saleem brings a biblical perspective on what is going on and how it ties into the end of days. Because it's the end of the sixth day, the sun is set, and this is Shabbat Night Live. Shabbat Shalom, Torah fans. End of the week. It's Shabbat Night Live with Michael Rood. Russia's war with Ukraine and the immigration mess in America have a common thread: follow the money. In fact, one issue is funding the other with no regard for who gets caught in the middle. Kamal Saleem, a former political jihadist, is bringing us the truth tonight about what's going on in episode 2 of our 5-part series, Asylum Assassins. This episode will explain everything. Let's get to it with Matt Weimer and Michael Rood. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Scott.
You know, one of the most disturbing things about this episode tonight, and I don't think Kamal would mind if I brought out this little bit, is that, you know, all the money we were giving to Ukraine over the last 4 years, and Americans were scratching their head and getting angry about it. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. Billions, in fact. Kamal asked a very interesting question that I don't think a lot of us asked. Ukraine needs weapons, they need food, they need relief supplies. Why are we not sending that? Why are we sending money? And he says that the bulk of that money was being sent to Ukraine, redirected to an organization that sponsors immigration worldwide. And guess what it was funding? The illegal immigration coming into our country.
What?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
So, and he has the receipts. He shows us how this worked. And now it all becomes clear, what we thought was hearsay, all of these stories that we thought were not true of these UN camps in places like the Darien Gap, where everybody would be funneled through. They would be given pamphlets in their language of, when you get to the US, here's how you get an apartment, here's how you get food, here's how you can do this, here's how you do that, here's what you say to the border guard in order to get in. They were given instructions on how to get to our country illegally and just skirt past the rules.
Man.
And it was all being funded by international organizations with our tax dollars supposedly going to Ukraine. Insane. And so he exposes all this. And if you're not angry yet, you will be tonight. Not to light a fire on the Shabbat with anger, but you're gonna learn a lot of stuff tonight about how this all works. So stay tuned for that. There's 3 more episodes of this. It's just gonna blow your mind. You may wanna get this whole series for your family and spread it around, because everybody needs to know what went on here. And hopefully this kind of nonsense stops now. But anyway, speaking of stopping, we're gonna be stopping the love gift pretty soon. This is the last day. Maybe we'll let it squeak by another day so folks can get it after the Shabbat. But Matt, this was your first teaching up on the stage, Geography and Prophecy. Speaking of immigration and geography and all that type of thing.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part about this teaching, if you could pick one? What is the thing that you want to kind of bring out the most? Or?
Honestly, it's my favorite part of it is how it shows that the prophecies that are 2,500 years old show how Yahovah has how he's sovereign, has a plan that, even though it was written down 2,500 years ago, it's fulfilled to the last letter of Scripture perfectly. And that's my favorite part about it is the basically what the encouragement it gives you, knowing that you can look these places up and see that these things are still relevant today, and Yahovah his word is true.
So prove to yourself that God is still in control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you just need to know what dots to connect. I know, because you showed us all kinds of things from Micah and Amos and Isaiah and Ezekiel, all these things connecting in ways that I never thought before, but yet the same wording is used, and I thought, why didn't I ever see that before? And then you correlate that to the map to say, hey, this place back then is now known as this. And if you look at the political ties of those countries where they all are now, it makes a lot of sense. And it's just, like you said, we wouldn't have known until today, with the borders the way they are and the political situations the way they are today, it would not have made sense to any other generation.
Right.
But now it does.
Yeah.
Wow. And so then we know things are moving. And the great thing about this is I think people can use your teaching here to help see what's coming and to correlate, oh, I saw that. I saw that in Matt's teaching. This is what he was talking about. And not to say this is prophetic or anything. I'm just saying that it was, you connect the dots so people can say, okay, this is the structure I need to watch for. And when we see it, we can know that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Very good, yeah. And so again, this is Michael. Thanks to you for even making this happen, because it was your idea to give people something for donating to this ministry.
Well, that's our privilege.
Yeah, and we got to have more guys like this from our own group here, up here. There's lots of folks in our staff complement.
Matt did a great job on that.
He certainly did, yeah. In fact, we're doing it in two months because it was so good. So again, last day to get this. We might let it go another day just so you can get it, because today's the Shabbat, right? We might do you that favor. All right. Are the war in Ukraine and America's immigration mess two separate issues? Not even close. In fact, one is funding the other with no regard for who gets hurt in the process. It's episode 2 of Asylum Assassins with Kamal Saleem. Tonight's teaching is immigration and Ukraine. But first, it's time to bring in the Sabbath with some bread and wine with a short teaching from Michael Rood. Take a look.
When Yeshua fed the 5,000 with leavened barley loaves in the Galilee, the Pharisees came down on him because they accused him that he and his disciples did not wash their hands before they ate bread. They did not wash their hands with a negelvesser and say this prayer, "Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctified us by your commandments, commanding us concerning the washing of hands." Why didn't Yeshua do that? Why didn't his disciples follow that? Because it is takanot. It is a law which they invented, and Moses said no one is ever allowed to add to or subtract from. But the night of the Last Supper, Yeshua took bread and he put in place a rehearsal that was really put in place by the Kohen Gadol, the high priest after the order of Melchizedek. Melchizedek himself brought forth bread and wine to Abraham. And Yeshua interpreted that very thing. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem mi'aretz. This is what Yeshua put in place, that before we eat bread, that we say this prayer. And as often as we do this, we do it in remembrance of him, because his broken body was broken for us, and by his stripes we were healed. So as often as we do this, as often we do it in remembrance of him. And Yeshua took the cup and he said, Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei pri hagafen. The creator of the fruit of the vine, Yehovah, created the fruit of the vine. He said, this represents the renewed covenant in my blood. As often as you do this, remember me. And remember, I will be drinking this with you at the marriage supper of the Lamb. Shabbat Shalom.
So last week is really important to this week. What does the Bible say? Precept upon precept. That's what we need you to do. If you have not seen last week's session with Kamal Saleem, you really need to understand what we're going to talk about today. So Kamal, welcome back to Shabbat Night Live.
Thank you so much. It's an honor being with you. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
It is an honor to have you here, because you have a unique perspective that no one else has, especially as it relates to immigration, what's going on behind the curtain, as it were, in the White House and things of this nature. So first of all, you have your own ministry. We want to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about that and where people can find you.
Our ministry, it's called Kum. The Kum is an Aramaic word for arise. So when Jesus Christ had an encounter with Lazarus, he didn't say, Lazarus, walk, because he was dead. he said to him, Lazarus, cum, arise. That's what he said to him in Aramaic. Then when he went to Talithia's home, little girl, he said, Talithia, kumi, kum for masculine and kumi for feminine in Hebrew. So therefore, he is the Lord of resurrection. So when I had my encounter with him and my neck was broken and several other pieces of my body, and he said, kum, Kamal, he raised in me what was broken to what is good and perfect and acceptable. And so when we started the ministry, I remember my first encounter with Jesus Christ. And so we are missionary to the United States of America to bring about the knowledge of the light of truth, to educate the missionaries, to educate pastors, to educate students, to educate our culture, and to educate our political and civic arena about what has taken place. So why are we doing this? Because when God brings you in to speak into something, you bring a light of truth in places where others have not come to understand. So therefore, we are in that place to really teach, reach, explain everything, and then send people to go out, because we could not do it ourselves. We need to give what we have to other people so they can do it as well.
Oh, wonderful. And you've written a few books. There's the information on the bottom of the screen where folks can get your books, something special in that for them as well. So we wanted to talk this week about things we talked about last week.
Yes.
So a little bit of a recap where we found immigration came from, a lot of what's really going on here. And at the tail end of that lesson last week, and we encourage people to watch it if they haven't already, that you said this all leads into Ukraine. How does our border crisis and everybody who's coming in here from all over the different parts of the world that you mentioned, how does that lead into the war in Ukraine?
Yes. So we need to understand that last week also we talked about the time of man and the time of God. The appointed time of God and the time of man, which is man time. And then we've talked about how America was birthed and where America was birthed in the Bible and what God purposed for America to be a forerunner for Israel. We also talked about, the difference between a shift and reset. A shift is a man-made, which is keep shifting. Like if you shift half an inch, just throughout our conversation, you'll end up over there, and I will end up, instead of looking at my computer and looking at the camera, I'll start looking at you over there because you're the host. So you already changed, you created a shift for me and shifted my view.
Your attention and your view.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And this is what the one world order we talked about, how they are changing the culture, and how the IOM, which is the International Organization for Migration, is involved in all this, working in cahoot with the current American government and few other leaders in America, from the Bushes to the Clintons to all the way Bush Jr., all of them down to Obama, and then to Biden. And then we talked about the reset. So God, when he does a reset or a great reset, what happened, he changes everything from the perspective what they were to the perspective where he wants us to go. And that's called part of the awakening. So this whole thing that is taking place right now, it's an awakening, because we need to know where we came from and where we're going to. And that is very important. If we didn't understand where we came from, then we will never understand where God is sending us to. So, and that's where America really lack, and not just America, many cultures lack that understanding, because we are, the media and other things kind of herd us. We are being herded. What is herding is like, herding people like animal, like cattle, to tell them this is where we want you to go. So behind them, there are a few cowboys. They're just whipping and shooting. Jesus Christ came as a shepherd. In Psalms 23, he said, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." So our economy changes from our needs to faith, to bring about, the difference between the two. And that is the clash between heaven and earth. That is demonic power trying to shift the understanding. But we come to this point, you go like, you asked me in the last time we met, you told me why Obama, why the Clintonite, the Clintons, why, Biden, why? Because they have the one world order system. They are shifting this, and they are trying to bring the United Nations to rule over all nations, to be one world. And so by doing so, what happened is humanity will be herded, just like what we see in a communist system. Just like when we see in the Muslim nations, they are herded. Not because, so they don't have a constitution like United States. They have their, different ways of doing things like laws, Sharia, and other things constitute to them how they have to be herded. So, and I'm saying this, not because I hate Muslims. I love Muslims. My families are Muslims. And God told me to love the Muslims to life. Jesus Christ, he told us the story that God created them in his image. So they're created in the image of God. So our job is to elevate them to the royal seat where God wants them to be, and not where the enemy has seized all their royalty. And that's important, and but you asked me a question earlier, why is Ukraine? Let's ask this. Let's ask a question. Who allowed the war to take place between Russia and Ukraine? Who advanced Russia and who advanced the Ukraine? And so when we see earlier, we see that, we see one of the arms of the IOM was Yaguchi. She is, she was under Putin. And all these people under Biden. So they brought leaders and they put them together into an organization called the IOM, which is an arm of the United Nations. And now when they are coming together, they have a purpose, and she has the agenda. Who gave her the agenda to birth an agenda? And we have talked about something very special. When people live on a salary of $3 a month, in their nation, or maybe $3.50, whatever it may be, how did they have the power to buy tickets to go all the way to Mexico, all the way to America, all the way to Canada, and then cross the border to come to the United States of America? So the question is, who is funding them, and for what purpose? So I introduced the IOM, the Immigration Organization for Migration. So if they do this, how could they really bring about that great shift? So when we see that when our president did not give a red line to Russia, what happened? Russia took it as an invitation. Did it happen before? Yes, under Bush Sr., he gave the invitation to Saddam Hussein to invade Kuwait. And by doing so, America was able to invade Iraq. And what happened? And kill Saddam Hussein. And so we see it happen in Libya. We see it, so that's called the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring is to break the borders of the nations from being controlled so they can herd them into the Western civilization.
Now, you said you gave that great analogy of herding versus shepherding. And you told me something, I'm not sure if you want to get into it now or later, but before the cameras came on, you educated me a little bit about why the Muslim people are without a shepherd, why they're without a father, and that they are herded. Did you want to get into that now, or save that for some other time?
For some other time.
Okay, great. Yes.
You really want to watch.
Story.
You really want to watch this series.
Yeah.
Because this series is uniquely and specially made to fit into each other. To want to, and it will not waste your time, because the things that you're going to learn here, it's the first time. And the reason why I'm promoting my books is because so many times you hear the hearsay, and we talked about it. But in the book, it explained everything and put Who are these people, where they are, and all the informations. I have the slides, I have everything in the book. I don't hide anything.
And your story, too, we're going to get into in the love gift for this month. Your whole story about where you came from and everything.
Yes.
So I really encourage people, if they really want to know, who's Kamal Saleem, you're going to find out in the love gift. So
yeah, amen. To God be the glory. So now, why did America want the war to happen in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine? So when the newspapers, the radical newspaper or the Democratic newspaper, they projected and they were asking, why didn't the United States of America or Biden stop the war? And they are watching everything happening and nobody was saying anything. When COVID happened, it happened. America did not project against China. America did not come against Russia, and says, let's sit down and stop this war right now. They let it happen. America did not stop Iran from creating nukes. America is letting it happen. We need to understand this is happening on purpose.
names of cities and countries have changed since biblical times, but end-time prophecy mentions certain places on the map. So how can we know where these ancient places are today?
In especially Ezekiel 38 and 39, specifically, Ezekiel names 8 different nations. And those nations, when you look them up in Bible atlases, the real scholarly ones, you'll find that 5 of those 8 belong to modern-day Turkey.
A Rood Awakening International's in-house prophecy expert, Matthew Weimer, explains the often missed intricacies of prophetically significant places in this month's Love Gift teaching, Geography and Prophecy. This teaching is not for sale and it's not available anywhere online. Instead, we'd like to give you this teaching as a thank you gift for donating to A Rood Awakening International. When you donate $50 as a love gift in February, you'll get Geography and Prophecy with Matthew Weimer on DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming on the michaelrood.tv app. Donate $100 and you'll get Geography and Prophecy, plus a pair of designer soaps handmade in Israel by new residents of biblical Judea and Samaria. Donate $300 and you'll get Geography and Prophecy, the pair of designer soaps handmade in Israel, and a beautiful prayer shawl to help you set apart your prayer time with focus and devotion. These gifts are a limited time offer from Michael Rood to thank you for your support. Make your donation today and receive the $50 gift, the $100 gift, or the $300 gift. Thank you. When you donate to receive the love gift, you ensure that these teachings keep coming from A Rood Awakening International. Use your smartphone to scan the QR code on your screen to donate now and receive these limited time gifts. Or call 888-766-3610. Or get your gifts online with a donation at monthlylovegift.com.
Now that Putin was given the green light to invade Ukraine, and why are they doing all this? This is to empower China in the United States of America, empower immigration in the United States of America, empower Islamism in the United States of America, to create a united nation in America, to change the philosophy, because the Constitution, one day Obama said, word for word, he said, what stands between the future of the United States of America and America is the American Constitution. So American Constitution is a problem. So it has to be destroyed. And how can you destroy it? You bring 21 million people. Says these people have not sworn to serve America. These people have not sworn to defend. They have not sworn to work for this nation. They want to be socialized. They want Obamacare. They want social structure. That's what they keep talking about, social. While, Biden, Trump, for example, he wants America to stand on its feet and become generating, power into the nations, and allow other nations to become.
So like the Constitution, he's a problem.
Yes, he is. And that's why they want to take him out. There are different plans. Why do I think about this? Because I think like the terrorists, because I was part of this at one time. How would I do it? So therefore, and that's why people like me need to be speaking to our president to say this is the things that you need to watch for. So now all this happened because the IOM moved into Ukraine because there were several million Ukrainian sent all over the place. Turkey was using them to flood now. Turkey is shifting to take Iran's place of power over the Middle East. And remember, in Gog and Magog, Gog is Turkish, is Turkey. So we see that Turkey, the Ottoman Empire, is rising again to the glory of its power under Erdogan Tayyip, President Erdogan Tayyip. And so therefore, we are seeing all those shifts that they are taking place purposely. Why would Russia leave Syria and turn, Assad, away? Why wouldn't they stay there? Because their time was out now to create the shift for Erdogan to flood, Syria with radical people like ISIS. Syria is becoming another issue, but we need to read the curses and the blessings in the book of Isaiah. What nation will be destroyed by God himself, one after the other. All these coming together. So now we come over there that the IOM moved over there, the headquarters, and United States of America was sending hundreds of billions of dollars. Ukraine does not need money. They need weapon. Ukraine doesn't need money. They need food and they need medical supply. And here America is sending them hundreds of billions of dollars. Where is this money going to?
Good question. I'm assuming you have the answer, because I don't.
Well, it was funding the IOM.
Aha.
So this way, how can you do this? You create crisis to feed the crisis, to say we are doing this, and now the IOM is sending illegal immigrant Islamist radical like ISIS, the kind like Hamas, like Hezbollah, like Al-Shabaab, like all to come to enter the United States of America for the purpose.
So people get this straight and they're thinking, wait a minute, did I hear Kamal right? That the billions we're sending to Ukraine is funding people's trips as migrants to come to the United States.
Yes, sir. They are not just funded, but they are uniquely selected. So you go like, how is a whole group of terrorists come together? I mean, we have an incident, for example. We had one that took place in New Orleans, and he said he was turned by ISIS online. And yet the other guy, they fired their things right there on the first day of the year, one by, President Trump, in Las Vegas, his building, and one in New Orleans. And both of them used the same car that Elon Musk, created. That is not just statement, this is in cahoot to work together. If logic does not lead to this, I don't know what other analysis, when the FBI says they don't know each other, I'm going like, so they chose the same car and they chose to bomb and kill themselves right there,
Yeah, they use the same car rental service.
Yes,
yeah.
rental service is the same, thing. They serve in the same unit in the army and what so. It's not by it's not by accident. If you're watching this program, know that things like this are happening on purpose. And when we see the head of the FBI resign, right, and he have 3 years left before the new president-elect come into his seat, you know that he is running for his life before they bring him in. Says because he will say, I was not part of this. I resigned because of this.
So as far as the money from Ukraine and the immigration goes, it should come as no surprise that when we hear these rogue reports of people coming through the countries south of our border into UN-funded camps.
And northern borders.
Yeah, and northern border too, but even, as through the Darien Gap is what I'm thinking, where they found these, UN camps, it's all being supported by this organization.
We need to understand that Agenda 3030 is to...
2030?
2030, yes,
yes.
but they have it's 30 years plus on the 2030. What happened? It's specifically made to rezone the world, but specifically United States of America. It's rezoning because Biden, administration was leading to control the waters, United States water, all sweet waters, and also to control farmings, to control forestries. Why they want to control all this, why they want to zone the people in different places in city and allow and disallow. You could not do this. Now they're empowering China and they are bringing Chinese into all of it is coming all together specifically, and they're throwing the, to lose the morality. Look at you could not watch straight movie. Everything, it's rated R right now, or rated, mature, and you have sex. You have bad language, and it doesn't say so. So they have changed the FCC and all those languages. So now they are demoralizing this nation on purpose. The LGBTQ, the Muslim Brotherhood, in America, all of them trying to say, we want new America, and that's part of it all coming together, including the 21 million illegal into United States of America.
And then they're also trying to find ways that through the UN and through emergencies like COVID, that the Constitution can be usurped.
That's exactly right, because you can override the Constitution.
Right.
The biggest power America has, what make America great, is the Constitution of the United States of America. So we need to, this allow people for amending, the Constitution, and this allow people from telling, changing, things to change for other nations to be able to do business with us. We need to keep it as it is, and now we need to fight from our rights as American citizens. And we need to fight for our American dollars, because now there is a big organization, Russia, China, India, and South Africa, and several other nations, and many, 30 Muslim nations joining all this organization to de-dollar the American currency. And that is why they are doing this. So America will lose its sovereignty. And if America loses a dollar, now we have no place to go but to find silver and gold to have currency. So they are trying to really subjugate America to change our ways of life and all our sovereignty, that America will not be in a seat of power. Remember, God, when we spoke in the book of Revelations 12, that God created America specifically to protect Israel, and America is a forerunner for Israel. So once, the enemies come in after the United States of America to destroy it from within. And if they are able to do this, they try their finances, their family, their military, who said that we have a trans general, that, that he's not sure what he is that day, but he is a general in the American military? We have so many things that does not add up. But if we look at this slide that I just put before you today, you will see the agenda, what they are targeting overall, and that is, that is where they were stepping in until God did the reset, and now America is changing. So, what is the project? Which is the climate change. What is that all about? The climate change is to take those 21 million person, and because now they can join the American military, and now they become part of our national security, and these people can help in when if the United Nations comes in or whatever against, and to stand against the United States. All of a sudden you have military to deal with American people versus helping American people. But not just that, but it's to socialize the culture, to change the culture from its current standing, and to break America into from unipolar to multipolar. What is the polarism? We need to talk about this.
Hey, Torah fans, I just want to take a minute on behalf of everyone here at A Rood Awakening to say thank you. Because without you, nothing happens. No Shabbat Night Live, no MichaelRood.tv app, no social media updates, no new videos on YouTube or Rumble. Without you, no one would see anything from Michael Rood or any of the other guest teachers we have on our programs. There's no corporate safety net with a pile of money in case there's not enough. There's no government grant that keeps things going. And we don't ask companies outside this ministry to pay for commercials. In fact, some have offered and we have declined because that's not the way Yeshua did it. Yeshua's ministry needed donations from his followers. Several times in the Gospels, we see that Yeshua asked the disciples to buy something. Without money, how would they do that? They all left their jobs to follow him. And not to mention, the disciples even had Judas to keep track of the money. We don't like asking you to donate. That's uncomfortable for anyone, but we do want to thank you for doing it. You are the reason for every Rood Awakening. Thank you.
When America is sovereign and strong, that's unipolar, meaning a unit of power. So now there are police in the world financially with the dollars. That we give to China money, we give Iran money, we give our enemy, we give them money. And so because there are policing and giving and doing all this, what happened? America sits on a seat of authority over all nations. And so when China comes now and become equal, they have the biggest Navy fleet, they have more military, they have 200 million man army, they have, so much which fits the book of Revelations, and you see that China now want the world and want to take over everything. What happened is we are seeing China becoming another unipolar, so you could not have two unipolar, so they become bipolar. When two nations of power start banging head together, nations have to take side and start separating the nations. But then when other nations start watching America becoming a bipolar and China bipolar, then the other nation that they want to have influence, they rise to become a bipolar. Like we saw Iran. Iran was rising up so fast that God used Israel to destroy Iran power, Hezbollah, Hamas, Syria, all of it, and humbled Iran. And now, the only thing left is the Houthi, and our president have to deal with this. And the next revolution that is coming to Iran, who's going to lead this? Thank God that God chose a right president to deal with this. The next revolution is coming very soon to Iran, and they will lose the Khomeini. The Khomeini, as they came in from exile, they will go back to exile. It's coming about very shortly. But then there's a whole lot more. Turkey is rising to be unipolar. Russia, and statistically, history speak about that specifically. When there are multipolars, then a war of the world is imminent. Is because everybody's, fighting for this, and now they have nuclear power. So the future doesn't look good. And when God did the Great Reset, and I say this, when God did the Great Reset, He moved on the heart of people, and the church for the first time started praying, fasting, and crying out before the Lord. When He said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray. What's humility is to cry out and fast and pray and seek my face and return, meaning they want the return of what America is used to be, return from their wicked way. Then I will heal the land, then we'll forgive their sin. God is going to deal with the nations, and that is for one purpose, and that purpose is to take the message to every nation and tongue and ethnicity and everything, that everyone that his name or her name is written in the book Flame of Life will be saved. And that is the Great Awakening. And when it comes about, that is what the book of Joel says, in the last days I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. And that's what the book of Isaiah said. He said in Isaiah 60, he said, when the darkness fills the earth and the deep darkness the heart of the people, then my glory will come upon you. We are in that place where God is fulfilling every word that He's promised. We are in the promise fulfillment age of the living God. So the Great Reset happened specifically for that purpose. And so now that's where we are, and America is in that place for God to use America for the purpose that He birthed America for. America is not over yet. America is going to do its best yet, just like our forefather were at the beginning.
So at first that seems kind of bleak, and now there's sort of this glimmer of hope with the Great Reset, as you call it. And of course, we know the Great Reset as something else that Klaus Schwab and these guys talk about. But you're saying, no, God has His own form of a Great Reset. So does this mean that we're in the last days, or what do you think about this?
We are definitely in the last of the last days, because when Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago came, the beginning of the last days begun. And so we need to understand how God works. So many times we think that, a move is going to take place and this is how God moves, And we saw that when Jesus Christ was introduced, it was in the worst of time for Israel. The Israelite stopped worshiping God the way they were supposed to, and now they're going after idolism. And the finances, was playing a great thing, shifting the Levite, power, and they were split into Sadducees and Pharisees and other flavors. And they were looking for a revolution, and they want God to come and lead the revolution. And God gave them everything. So God was waiting on them to have faith, and they did not want to operate in faith because they're comfortable with the law. And so, therefore, what happened is here, we see the Romans were taken all over the nations, and they are leading by the iron fist. That is the statue of Daniel. He has two iron legs because Rome was split into two kingdoms, one in Byzantia and one is in Rome, and that is the two great legs. God was showing us what it was, and so. And the people were not sure who they are, and the Samaritan, they felt that they are the sons as well of Jehovah. And what happened when the Israelites would not take them? They created their own temple and they created their own world. So the whole world was in chaos. And what did God do? He introduced the Great Reset. He introduced His Son, Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying Trump is, anything like Jesus Christ, but this is the end of time. God introduced His Son to trump everything the enemy did to bring about a heavenly revolution to change everything that was taking place on earth. And that heavenly revolution could not be stopped because it's based on hope, faith, and love. It's not based on kill, steal, and destroy. So we are seeing right now in this Great Reset that God is also doing something great, So the church has to be awakened, to come to that level. So now is the time of the church to move into the nation and complete the Great Commission. We saw that God did this, specifically in that time, and God is doing it right now in our time all over again. So you go like, well, if Jesus Christ came in, why do we need to do this? If Jesus came to introduce the last days, yes, Jesus said the latter of His end of time will be greater than the beginning, what He begun. He said, greater things you will do than I, because I go before the Father. And He turned on and He said, 2-ply cord, 3-ply cord is not easily broken. So if we are one, and all together, who is the two and the third one? Is the Holy Spirit and Jesus Christ. Because the Holy Spirit is interceding through us, and Jesus Christ is in the seat of mercy, interceding for both of us. And so now we are in that place where, we see Elijah and Elisha. the beginning of the age began with Elijah was one portion. Elisha operated in a double portion. And that was at the end of the term, that he released. And we have the release of the Holy Spirit. We see that specifically where we are today, we have changed. We are seeing the season of King Saul is over with. And now David is seated in a seat of authority. And that's what happened in America. We changed from Saul to David. So David put things in perspective of God. And he ruled and reigned the nations, and around him, and everybody start making peace because of what he's doing. And while Saul compromised, and he brought the Amalekite to sit on his table, he brought, so we are in that same place, but we are in a double portion anointing where God is going to do things, and that is where things start coming from heaven to earth, where the human mind will not understand it or comprehend it or fathom it, and that's what they call it, the age of miracles, where things that they are unseen will be seen.
So we need to be very discerning, because there's going to be deception on the other end that's going to look like miracles, but...
The age of giants is upon us. The giants will enter our sphere of humanity. And we will see, just like in the days of Elijah, like in the days of Noah, like in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. These are the three things that we have to look at. And, as you look at the rifle, it has three prongs. We were trained not with the scope, but we were trained with the prongs. The middle one is important. And the two, so you put everything, you put it in the middle, and that's how you hit your target. God worked in three, and we are in that place, where things about to start shifting into the beginning of beginning of an end.
Okay, well, let's talk more about that next week. So, Kamal, thank you for joining us. We have a lot more to talk about. We get off on rabbit trails here, so this might go longer than we think. But hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're enjoying Kamal. I certainly am. Again, thank you for your support. That's what makes Shabbat Night Live happen. There's some information on the bottom of your screen where you can support this program. Any gift is appreciated. It all helps us get this to folks like yourself and to folks who have never heard of us before and never heard of what you've said before. We all need to work together to bring this information out there. So thank you for doing that. We'll see you next week on Shabbat Night Live for more from Kamal Saleem. And until then, Shabbat Shalom. Have a good week.
Whenever and wherever you are watching this broadcast, it represents hundreds of man-hours of production and post-production, and then it goes out to the world in several different languages. Why is this possible? It's because people like you support this ministry. We do our best to get this out freely to the entire world. Freely you have received. Now, this is your opportunity to do as Yeshua said, and freely give.